was chosen to be on the cover of Madden. 2 questions. First, did you see the cover? Did you have any thoughts?
I saw it this morning. Yeah.
No reaction.
No reaction. Yeah.
With all the spotlight.
No reaction. So Ben Johnson must be a listener of this podcast because last week we talked about Luther Burden and his star power, and then Ben Johnson said that he would be putting his money or betting his money on Luther Burden. So, 1, thank you, Ben Johnson, for listening. 2, shout out to us for
the spotlight.
Okay, so what we haven't had a chance to talk about yet is the schedule, which came out a couple weeks ago. So, how do we feel about the Bears' schedule?
Well, first of all, you might be wondering why you don't see us, because we're actually doing this live.
Yes, sir.
And we haven't figured out a way to record ourselves live yet. So, we are at Chirag's house watching Game 1 of the NBA Finals and doing this podcast at the same time. So if you hear us randomly go, oh, it's probably something with the game. But you don't care about that. The Bears schedule. So it's supposed to be like one of the hardest in the league, right, in terms of like win percentage for teams last year. But I actually think it's okay. Like, things seem manageable. I didn't look at this and like freak out.
Yeah.
You know, last year they had the super early bye week, and you're like, man, that back part of the season's going to be tough with the injuries and just like the durability stuff. You know, they have a week 10 bye, which is great, you know, towards right in the middle of the season-ish, you know. So that I think that'll help a ton. I think they start out with a noon game, you know, on a Sunday, which is great. At Carolina, which is, look, it's not like the Carolina of old. The Panthers were a playoff team. They did give the Rams a run for their money, and they're going to be at home. They're a much improved team, but I feel like that's a game the Bears should win. So they're at Carolina. Then they get Minnesota at home. They get their first division game at home, which is great. They actually get 3 home games in a row after that. So I think the schedule kind of broke out well for them. And then one of the things, I can't remember the exact stat. Maybe if you can look it up as I say it. But the Bears, I think, have the best like net rest differential, which means that they are going to be the more rested team again rather than their opponent for like every game this season.
Okay, so this says the Chicago Bears hold the best net rest differential in the NFL for the 2026 season at plus 15 days. This means the Bears have a cumulative advantage of 15 extra days of rest and preparation compared to their opponents across the 18-week schedule. Every day I learn a new stat. Does this matter?
Yes,
Tell me why.
Because if you actually look at team records versus net rest, you'll see that the teams with the higher net rests generally trend or tend to do better than their over-under, whereas teams with a worse net rest tend to do worse than their over-under. And I think the Bears line up favorably in that spot. I think last year the Bears had a good one. I think the Patriots had a good one. The year before that, I think the Commanders had a good one. So I do think it plays a big part into how your team, goes into that week, especially for like an offensive head coach, which I feel like is so scheme-based. Ben likes matchups, right? And we talked about this during the season, a lot of Ben's scheming is actually done in-game. He's just throwing a bunch of random stuff out in the first half, it seems like, and then they really make adjustments in the second half.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much the extra time helps him, but I'm sure it does because he can scheme up whatever he needs to. So I think it's going to be a big advantage for the Bears, as the schedule unfolds. And they've got some pretty big games. Like they got some tough games. Like their two toughest games are on the road. They're at Seattle, and then they're at Buffalo. The at Seattle is a Monday night football game, but it's after playing New England on Thursday night. So they'll have extra rest for like probably their most challenging game of the season,
Yeah.
going to Seattle. The Buffalo one's going to be tough because they got Miami. They're at Miami, then they have to fly back to Chicago, and then they're at Buffalo. So it's a lot of traveling, and that Buffalo game is on Saturday. So that's going to be a little bit tough. But I think I don't know. I think it's pretty good. Then towards the end of the season, they'll get Green Bay at home on Christmas. They'll get Detroit at home right after that. Then they close out the season at Minnesota, who, is kind of frisky, but if you're going to play any division opponent at the end of the season, Minnesota is probably the weakest in the division. You probably, want that for your last game. So I don't know. I think it lines up okay.
I was looking at the schedule earlier today, and maybe I was thinking of the Panthers of the old, but I was thinking that there is a very potential real possibility that the Bears could start 4-0. Now, maybe this is the hopefulness part of the thing. And obviously, I'm going off of like the Vikings are kind of, I don't know how, I think the Bears are better than the Vikings, and the Eagles, we beat them, and they don't have A.J. Brown anymore.
Yeah.
So now what does that team look like? And I think the Jets aren't good still. I don't know if that's...
No, they're not. They're still not good. They should throttle the Jets.
When you're thinking about like how they go up against the division, like what are you... Is like 500 against the division sort of like the floor?
I think so. I mean, they got swept by Detroit last year. They split with Green Bay, and they split with Minnesota. All of those, well, minus the at Detroit, they got absolutely throttled. I think that was your...
That was our saddest episode.
That was the saddest episode.
You,
I was out. I was
I
was at a resort in Arizona, so that was fine. But that one, they got their doors kicked in. But the other games were close. The first Minnesota loss was close. And then the Minnesota win was very close. They needed like a miracle return from Duvernay to set up a field goal.
Yeah.
And then the last Detroit game was also close. Now Detroit was winning for most of it, but it was still close. So I think the division is going to be good again. I think Minnesota with Kyler Murray is going to be interesting and frisky. Green Bay will be good. Now, Micah isn't going to come back until mid-October, which will put him, I think that week 5, where the Bears are at Green Bay, could be in jeopardy, or that could be the game that he makes his season debut. Either way, he's not going to be in game form. I think they'll dodge a bullet there, but they'll probably have to, then they play them again in week 16, so I'm sure... if Micah's still healthy, he'll be on the field for that. So they dodge a bullet with that too, I guess. Playing Green Bay a little earlier, not having to worry about Micah for that game.
When you're looking at the schedule, do you see like where do you think the losses happen if you were to guess?
Okay, so I went through and I did my predictions. So I've got them winning at Carolina. I've got them winning against Minnesota. The Philly game felt like a coin flip to me. I know that they throttled the Eagles last year, but I think the Eagles have a little bit of like revenge on their mind.
Sure.
They got demolished at home on Black Friday. Ben took his shirt off. Like, it was a thing, right? And the Eagles they're not lacking talent. They're a good team. I think they're going to come in and they're going to be pissed off. Now, that's a coin flip game for me, but for the sake of trying to stay balanced, I gave them a loss there.
All right.
They'll throttle the Jets. I did give them a loss at Green Bay.
Yeah.
So they'll start 3-2 in my mind. And then I gave them a controversial loss at Atlanta, which is week 6. Now, Atlanta's not that great. I just feel like it's not a good spot. I think it's a trap game, actually, for the Bears.
With the Pats and
because
the
you
Seahawks
got
coming
you got at Green Bay, You're going to be psyched for that. And then you're going to go Thursday. You got a short week, and you're going against the Patriots, which is like not really a rivalry game, but it kind of is. You know, it's the Drake May, Caleb Williams kind of debate. They're going to be amped up for that. It's a short week. I think they might just look at, and they have to go to Atlanta too, right? And Atlanta is not, they always disappoint. They're like always perpetually worse than they should be. But they've got some talent. You know, they've got some talent. So that could be a trap game. But then I think they beat the Patriots. Then I think they lose at Seattle. Then a game I'm super excited for is Tampa Bay, Sunday Night Football. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think they win that game, and then they head into the bye. And then they got New Orleans out of the bye, which should be a win. And the NFC South is largely pretty terrible. I think they should sweep the NFC South, which is, I don't see them having any issues with New Orleans. Then they got Detroit at Thanksgiving. I do have them as a loss there, just because Detroit's. I mean, they haven't beaten Detroit yet, right? You got to show me that the pupil can beat, you know, the master there. That Ben Johnson can figure out a way. I think he gets in his own head against Dan Campbell. Yeah, you saw a lot of cutesy stuff, and I think he thinks like Dan thinks I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do that, right? And then it just ends up being a weird ass play. Then they got Jacksonville in Soldier Field, week 13. I think that's a win. At Miami. Miami's trash, so I think that's a win. At Buffalo, probably a loss. That's a tough team. DJ Moore revenge game. Yeah. Then they got Green Bay at home, and I think this is where they play their best down the stretch. So I've got them winning the last 3 games. So they'll win on Christmas. They'll win against Detroit after that. And then at Minnesota, I have them winning too. So I got them at 11 wins. So same as last year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I like that. I like that. We might actually, a couple of us, some of the guests, hosts, and friends and listeners of the pod, we have been trying to figure out where we're going to end up.
I was going to say, which game are you going to go to?
I'm trying to go to Miami just because I'm trying to go to Miami, but that has been nixed, and we will most likely find ourselves in Buffalo and maybe stuck in Buffalo, assuming
on
that
Christmas Eve.
On Buffalo is the 19th.
Oh, sorry, yeah, never mind.
Christmas week
Christmas
Eve, I guess.
Eve, yeah.
That's what you meant.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, we might find ourselves in Buffalo. We've talked about trying to go to Green Bay in the future as well, but it seems like Buffalo might be the
it's gonna be cold, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold as shit.
Yeah,
but
I don't know why you're picking that one.
I don't know why we're doing crazy stuff. Yeah, I like that, man. How do I feel? I feel good about that too.
Wait, why did at Miami get vetoed? That seems like a perfect choice.
Maybe because Miami's trash. I mean, like the team, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to go to Miami, dude.
Yeah,
take my shirt off like Ben Johnson, dude.
Yeah, I mean Buffalo, you're gonna have to jump through a table. They do that sort of thing there.
Yeah, we will. We'll do it for us.
All right.
We'll do it for the listeners. I like that is an interesting little, the little trap games and the setups and all of that. Like you're kind of, it is flanked in between. Oh, that's going to be an interesting. I
just feel like Atlanta, it's going to get overlooked. And then you got Green Bay at Green Bay. It's going to be a physical game. And then you have a short week then to play New England that you could just, kind of phone it in a little bit against Atlanta. Try not to get hurt, overexert yourself, and then all of a sudden find yourself like trying to chase Bijan Robinson down as he runs for like 80 yards.
Yeah.
So, but who knows? I don't know if Ben allows that sort of thinking or whatever, because he's already no nonsense. You see that you brought it up earlier that the guy whose phone went off in the presser.
Yeah.
And he basically is like, get his phone out of here.
Yeah, he's in full force. I mean, he just talked about not really caring about Caleb Williams being on the cover, which, I mean, I guess he shouldn't as a coach, but it's interesting. He didn't even say.
Yeah, that's good for him, It's like, no reaction.
I do wanna shout out Lone Star Daddy, who texted me and the man with no podcast nickname a few days before the Caleb cover came out and sort of said, I hear this is the rumor. So I want him to know that I recognize his early inside information, which I thought it was fake.
I thought it was fake.
I didn't believe it.
Because he lies a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess you said, you said something earlier about, it's something that I wish I remembered now. Damn, I was going to ask you about the Madden curse and how you feel about, are the Bears cursed or is Caleb cursed?
Well, I thought the Bears were cursed. That we just can't get out of our own way. But no, I don't think. I think the Madden curse has been debunked. The last last couple Madden covers have not had the same juice that you would think the Madden curse would have.
Yeah.
So I think that has been mostly debunked.
Yeah. Okay. So we got a couple shout outs we got to do too before we get to that, any sort of final thoughts on this schedule? Actually, you know what? Maybe it's better. I want to ask you, how does Myles Garrett getting traded to the Rams change maybe your thinking about where the Bears were going to end up this season and kind of with the Rams?
Nah, it doesn't really change anything for me. He's not. But yes, Myles is now in the conference, but that conference, the NFC West, is so stacked. It's really more of a problem for Seattle and the Niners than it is for the Bears. You saw how good that Rams team was last year.
Yeah.
And they ended up as the 5th seed because their division was so good. Why that could happen again? They could have the second best record, but if they finish second in their own division, they could be going on the road a lot. I don't think it matters really for the Bears because they don't play the Rams this year and they don't play the NFC West this year. So, if the Bears take care of their own business, they'll get in the playoffs, and then anything can kind of happen. So, it's fine. I mean, Micah is more of a big deal, even though he's going to be hurt for some of the season than the Myles Garrett stuff.
Do the Bears finish first in the division or in the in the NFC North?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Oh shit, good, nice. Okay. I love it. We should shout out Maple Syrup King. Happy birthday to you.
Happy
June
birthday,
3rd.
Maple Syrup King.
We should shout out Romo Dunze. Also, I don't know what he's a king of, but he's a king of something. King of painting, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I like how we shouted out Maple Syrup King before Romo Dunze.
Yeah, well, who's more important to us.
Romo Dunze.
Sorry, Maple Syrup King.
He's not even listening. Maple Syrup King isn't even listening.
Okay. Where can people listen to you? Where can people find you? All of that.
Yeah. OnTapSportsNet.com, Bears on Tap podcast, and then posting all my stuff on X at SMPatel06.
Great. And then I'll be doing a improv show with my team Slugs this Tuesday, June 9th at the Bughouse Theater at 7:30 in Chicago. So Tuesday, June 9th at 7:30 at the Bughouse Theater. If you're in Chicago, come through and say what's up. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, just let's get football started. Oh, Caleb was on the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey brothers. I started listening to it. It's pretty entertaining. I encourage you all to check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, you said it's really nice to have a cool guy as a quarterback.
Yes. I mean, can you imagine Mike Glennon going on any sort of podcast? I don't even think Mike Glennon. I don't even think he'd be allowed to enter your show at the Bughouse Theater. They'd be like, "Get out of here, guy."
For Samir Patel, I am Chirag Rathod. We are the Bears in the Neighborhood, your weekly insight into the Chicago Bears in under 30 minutes, and we will catch you all next week.
Peace out.